Hi, I'm Joycelyn Wells. Thank you for joining me today. Our topic for this episode of Healthy Me, Healthy You is forgiveness. Forgiveness is a virtue that's fickle because our human understanding of what that means sometimes leaves us in positions or leaves us in situations that get us caught up, get us hurt, and just get in the way of us being our best self. So I just want to spend a few minutes talking about forgiveness, to what my understanding of forgiveness, what I had to figure out in traveling my path, and my role in the process of forgiving, and my role in the process of asking for forgiving. My role in the process of forgiving and my role in asking for forgiveness. What does that mean, right? Okay, so usually when people start talking about forgiveness, they go straight to the Bible and they talk about how God will forgive us over and over. God is unlimited. He is unyielding. He allows us to explore all the paths that leads us to being of his purpose. He can see all of that. He has the ability to see this labyrinth that he has chosen us to travel. So it makes sense that he forgives us. Every time that we flub up, every time that we take a left turn when we should have taken a right, every time that we curse when we feel like we shouldn't have, every time that we hurt somebody, every time that he doesn't have the opportunity to be disappointed in us, and he doesn't have the opportunity to be mad at us because he chose us, right? So he has accepted responsibility that we belong to him, and that if given enough opportunities of forgiveness and redirection, that we will in fact become of his purpose. That's God's angle. That's how I see God's angle. So the problem with us as humans making reference to the way that God forgives us when it comes to other people, we aren't God. We would like to be God-like. We would like to be able to claim or to accept that he has chosen us and we can see things. We'd love all of that. But we're in fact humans, and our time here on this earth is very limited, where God is everlasting. We are here because of him. So when it comes to dealing with other people, first off, we have to protect ourselves. There's a level of self-preservation that goes along with interacting with other humans. There's a level of awareness that goes along with interacting with other humans as well as ourselves. We have to be responsible enough for who we are and knowledgeable enough that we are in fact here for a reason, so that we can continue moving forward. If we get caught up in a negative cycle of being hurt and always forgiving, and being hurt and always forgiven by another person, we aren't in fact doing what we're supposed to do for God. Right? That stops us from moving forward. That stops us from being great. And it's so much noise and clutter that we then lose our sight on where we're supposed to go. So a couple of things that I've learned in people asking for forgiveness. Because before, if someone hurt me, and I'm a very, I take people as they are, and I don't believe that people have the intention of hurting me. So maybe I'm naive, maybe that's just a quality or a trait about me. But I still, to this day, after being hurt and being manipulated and blah, 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 I still believe that people aren't intentionally trying to hurt me. So when I find myself in a situation that I feel hurt, I'm getting better with trying to control where that comes from. When I find myself that I've been hurt or that I've been misled or misused, it's easier for me now to understand that my purpose is here for God and not for human people, not for man. My purpose is God, right? So that helps me to understand making the choices of things that should happen. So when someone does something to me, and a lie, a manipulation, a half-truth, a theft, anything that they take of me that I didn't give willingly, my opportunity to make a choice, my opportunity to choose for myself, I realize it's their intention to do that. So when people ask you to forgive them, I When people ask me to forgive them, I'm sorry, I need you to forgive me. My first question for them is, why am I forgiving you? What are you asking my forgiveness for? Because we tend to want to forgive this blanket layer of information. I forgive you. A blanket, I forgive you. Or I'm sorry. People want to put that out there. But what we don't, as the person that's in pain, we feel like just because they say I'm sorry, we're supposed to be like, okay, they apologize, so let's move forward. And then we struggle desperately trying to get beyond the mental blah of trying to forgive them, because we'll tell ourselves, well, I said I've took their apology, I said that I forgive them, but my mind is still reeling and processing over and over the deception and the misuse of me. So it doesn't go away. So we struggle with that. So we have an internal hell happening because we aren't able to forgive them, because we really don't know what they're asking forgiveness for. So if you ask someone, why am I forgiving you? The expectation is they can tell you, well, I did lie to you, and I want you to forgive me for the lie. Okay, so then you have to decide, am I forgiving for the lie, or am I forgiving for the plan of the lie? At what point did you decide that I'm not capable of the information that you had for me? At what point did you decide that I'm not capable of making a choice for myself? So do you think you're better than me? Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think that I wouldn't understand? Did you think I wouldn't find out? So we have to back up before even the lie. We've got to go to the intention of the lie. That's our human self, because the intention was laid out, and we know that if you think it, you may as well have done it, right? We know that. So we have to go back as far as the intention. But what we tend to do is to be like, well, God forgives us over and over, so I'm going to forgive. But you can't. We are not set up that way, because we're not given the tools and understanding and knowledge of and gifts of seeing everybody's path. You can only take forgiveness over and over when you know how many things they have access to. And that's God. He's all knowing. He's all seeing. He's all encompassing. He sees us all. We don't see that. We only see what's in front of us. So when people are asking you to forgive, you have to decide if in fact you can forgive them, but not just of the action, the intention of the action. Something made them choose, right? Then once you get through that, and if people can't talk out with you their reasons for manipulating or deceit, then they aren't really apologizing. They're not going to understand the impact of this to your life. So you may have to exit out of their life. You may have to change the way that you deal with them. You may have to change the way that you deal with yourself. And that's the other thing. When you have to ask forgiveness, you have to know, as soon as the deception starts in your mind, that's your starting point for going to make the decision. And if you're making ill use of someone around you, or you feel that you need to, or you can, then you need to do some reflecting on yourself and why you believe that you are or capable of making ill use of someone. And you really need to get some help on that. That's not a good thing to do, right? That's not how you protect yourself, and we'll talk more about that. That's not how you protect yourself when you're putting out the bad into the universe, because you have to pay all that back. When you are in a position and you have to ask for someone to forgive you, you're going to need to go back to the intention, and you're going to have to ask them to forgive you for what? You know what? I was thinking that this would be a good idea, but it turned out that it's not. And I started thinking that that's a tough thing to do, to be able to ask someone to forgive you. But if you have to ask for forgiveness, as we just talked about, someone asking forgiveness of you, you have to go back to the point of intention. So in order to protect ourselves, to be healthy me, healthy you, we need to be in line with what's expected of us from the universe. And we also need to be reminded that we're not God. The God exists in us, and that we want to be great, but we cannot have the all-knowing power that he has, or the all-knowing understanding that he has of the opportunities available. We meet people usually where they are in that moment. And if that's the moment that they chose to misuse us or to mistreat us, and they have to ask us for forgiveness, we really have to dig deep and ask, for what am I forgiving you? What are you asking of me? And then you have to make the decision if it's something you can go forward with. So thank you for joining me. I'm Joycelyn Wells with Healthy Me, Healthy You. Have a great day. See you next time.